This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories, and welcome to my final video for 2024 for some, depending on your time zone, because I'm not going to be home until a little bit after 9 tonight, and I probably won't have my Skeleton Crew review out until 10:30. So for some of you, that'll be the new year. But for this one, I wanted to have initially a normal, nice video looking back on the year. Then I decided that's no fun, and that's way more fun to take a look at if the people who were cast in Revenge of the Sith actually aged to be the age they would be in A New Hope, since that takes place 19 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith. And since 2025 marks the 20th anniversary of A New Hope, this is the last day I could do this video. So, let's go and take a look at this. And this is very clearly not going to devolve into chaos extraordinarily quickly. So let's go take a look at it, but first we're going to take a look at how this is going to go. On the left, you'll see a picture of the actor today, and on the right, we're going to see what they look like in A New Hope, and see if they roughly aged about the same that they would. It doesn't need to be perfect, but if they look around the same age, then we'd say that this is a proper casting in terms of aging. If not, then we're going to say that it wasn't a proper casting in terms of aging. This is saying nothing about the performance, because there's going to be some great actors on here who did great performances, and a few who literally just had cameos. So let's go take a look at it. Starting off, we have Ewan McGregor, who played Obi-Wan Kenobi, and as you can very clearly tell, he did not age into Alec Guinness. This is something that people very obviously mentioned back when he was cast, probably in 1999, or well, technically 1999 because that's when the movie came out, but in the mid-90s, and if we take a look at him here, it's very clear that in the last 19 years, he is nowhere as old as Sir Alec Guinness was when he filmed Episode 4. Yeah, I think most people came into this knowing that, but I mean, it's just a nice thing to confirm. Now, looking at C-3PO and R2-D2, for these, it's giving a little difference, since obviously they don't fully have actors in their droids. Actors in terms, I mean, of having a physical appearance outside of the droid suits. We're going to take a look if it looks like these aged about 19 years. And yeah, you can see that they're not as bright or as shiny as they were during the events of Revenge of the Sith. And it does look like they have aged at least somewhat. Can't tell if if it's exactly 19 years, but it looks believable enough. Plus, he does have, through maintenance, a new leg, which is silver, versus the completely gold droid that we see in the prequel trilogy. Then we have Darth Vader, and yeah, this looks like this armor has aged 19 years. Vader has likely swapped out some parts of it, and the suit has been damaged, whether if you're looking at the canon or Legends continuity, so technically this isn't the exact same suit he put on, but it's close enough. And if we take a look at it, and just at Lucas canon specifically, assuming we don't have something like Kenobi where the helmet is broken open, or something like The Force Unleashed where the exact same thing happens, plus most of his armor is destroyed. Then we just take a look at this, and yeah, it looks like this suit has aged a good amount, and it clearly isn't brand new while he's wearing it. So even if this isn't the initial suit that Palpatine put on him, at least fully, because some parts are really more difficult to remove, but ultimately this does look like it has aged. around enough time, and even though it technically wouldn't be 19 years because he could swap parts out unlike 3PO and R2, it definitely looks like he is aged 19 years, and, well, movement-wise, it doesn't really matter because all of his limbs are mechanical. Oh, and the reason I am not looking at Hayden Christensen specifically in this video is because Vader's face is never shown. So, since we know that, well, we never see Vader's face, it makes sense that I wouldn't talk about it here. But I will talk about it when we get to episode 6, if I remember to do that video, and what about probably, I think it's 4 or 5 years from now? I'd have to remember. I think it's 4 years between episodes 4 and 5, and then another year between 5 and 6. So I'd have to double check that, but that's still a pretty long way off. So don't have to worry about that video yet. Now looking at Chewbacca, yeah, I'd say he probably does age 19 years, especially since it doesn't look like he's aged too much. And that makes sense since Wookiees live way longer lives than humans, so obviously he isn't going to be aging as much as our human characters. So it does make sense he would look pretty similar. And the most surprising thing is that he wears that same bandolier for such a long time, since he has it here in episode 3 and then takes it back and continues with it all the way up until, at least for Lucas Star Wars episode 6, and continues on into even sequels, and I believe he wears it up to his death in the Yuzan Vong War and the other continuity. So yeah, Chewbacca wears this for a while, although it does disappear for him slightly in the Disney canon, but he somehow gets it back between whenever he was captured on Kashyyyk and sometime after Solo, but before episode 4. Or maybe it's a very similar one, who knows. That still is interesting, and I'd say, yeah, he probably has aged 19 years, but I'm not a huge expert on exactly how much Wookiees age, so who knows, I could be wrong. Now we have Bail Organa, and while technically we didn't see him in episode 4, we only saw him die alongside the rest of Alderaan. We did see him in Rogue One, and since it's the same actor, I will count it. And yet, technically, he has aged even more than he did in Rogue One, since that was 2016, and this picture of him is from 2024. But it doesn't look like a huge difference in age. So I'd say, yeah, they cast him pretty well, since he technically is still playing him in this, and he technically looks older in Kenobi, but still it is a good enough aging where the difference in age isn't too noticeable in this. The same goes for Genevieve O'Reilly, who plays Mon Mothma, and yes, I'm pretty sure most, if not all, of her scenes from Revenge of the Sith were deleted. And I know I'm using a picture from Andor Season 2, which technically comes out next year. This picture was revealed this year, and since I wasn't able to fully find a picture of her from this year, the other two of the actors were both from awards that they got specifically this year, with Ewan McGregor getting his star on the Walk of Fame and Jimmy Smith being at the Oscars or the Emmys. Don't remember which one it was when I got that picture. I just know it was one of those award shows. So yeah, honestly, this one is one where, I mean, technically it might be a year or two off, but it does look like she has aged around that age. And technically it's supposed to be a younger version of Mon Mothma, but still it does look like that, and I'd say the makeup on her does look good because I'd say she does look slightly older in the picture on the left. And even though she's older biologically on the picture on the right, I think they did a great job with the makeup to make her look just a little younger than she did in Rogue One because we don't know exactly which year this takes place in, but it is supposed to be in the one of the 4 years leading up to the events of Rogue One, which takes place right before A New Hope. So, on another hand, I am very excited to see that, but I'll talk more about that tonight at midnight Central Time. Now going on to another one, we have Captain Antilles, and he only has a brief cameo, but here we can see that I'd say he ages about the same. Obviously, this is one where it looks a little off because he does have a beard, but I say if you have him shaved and just look past the facial hair, I'd say, yeah, he looks about the same age. Maybe not exactly, but looks pretty close. Now taking a look at Tarkin, I'd say the actor, although I don't know exactly what year this picture is from because it's kind of hard to find a picture of this guy from this year. So I don't know exactly how old this is, but it does look like he does age. At least well enough to be Tarkin, and you don't really see him from that close, so it is impressive that they got someone who looks pretty much like he could have aged into Peter Cushing today and be able to do that just for a few shots where you don't really get to see his face that well. So yeah, honestly, that is pretty impressive. Now looking at Uncle Owen, yeah, I'd say the actor from episode 3 looks pretty close in age. I'd say not perfectly, but I'd say close enough for it to be passable. I'd say in episode 4, he looks just slightly a little older. But yeah, as I was saying, I'd say that the age difference between the two isn't extraordinarily noticeable. And I feel like a little of the off-putting part is that they have slightly different colored hair. So I'd say that's really only major difference. Looking at Aunt Peru, I'd say again it's pretty close. Not perfect again, but I'd say close enough where it honestly doesn't really matter too much, and the age is roughly close enough. The final one is a little awkward, but this is the person who played baby Luke and Leia. So yeah, age-wise, about the same. Obviously, this person was a baby 19 years ago, so they'd be about 19 now, which is the age that both Luke and Leia would be. But in terms of looking like them, I mean, it's basically impossible to find a baby that's going to grow up to look exactly like both Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher. So, yeah, honestly, it's just more of a fun thing for this last one. But yeah, looking at it in general, besides Ewan McGregor, everyone roughly aged to look about the same 19 years later. And yeah, that's because most of these people did just age naturally 19 years, and they didn't look too different from their appearance in Rogue One for the ones that I actually looked at the actors for. But that's just a kind of fun, dumb video to do. So I want to know what you think. Please leave me in the comments. And also next episode of Legends and Theories. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.